Esports come and go. That's just the way things work. Nothing lasts forever, and the fact of the matter is, we're all just playing video games on product cycles. The NBA doesn't have to release a sequel to basketball every 2 years, but most game publishers do, which is often what leads to the death of the corresponding esports scene. A decade ago, Halo was the biggest game in North American esports, commanding millions of dollars in prize money, strong viewership, and millions of copies sold. Now, it's lucky to get 10,000 viewers on Twitch on a good day. This is how Halo rose to the top of the esports world.
Final boss here, 2010 MLG National Champions.
Fell as hard as any game ever has.
Michigan, Sturgis, ain't happening.
AGL 10K is supposed to be next weekend. That's on you, motherfucker. This is your fault.
And then somehow, managed to put together a redemption story.
We're at the home of Halo, baby. We got everyone here. This is our moment, our time. So I ask you, get loud, get proud. Are you ready?
The original Halo was a huge deal for Microsoft.
Halo, Combat Evolved, rated M for mature.
It was the flagship game for their brand new console, the Xbox. In 2001, no one knew if Microsoft would sink or swim in the games industry. And Halo, the cutting-edge, fast-paced first-person shooter from little-known Mac developer Bungie, was Microsoft's way of showing that they knew what they were doing.
With the power of the GeForce 2 GTS shading rasterizer, plasma burns look more realistic than ever before. NVIDIA's GeForce 2 GTS and Bungie's Halo.
This is the future of gaming!
The game was a hit, selling 5 million copies and inspiring a small but dedicated base of competitive players.
Position. Don't worry, I'll throw the flag to you, Alex. I'll take care of that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoa!
Prize pools were small, but players wanted organization. So a handful of players and fans banded together to create MLG, an organization that would go on to make Halo esports huge.
MLG was born out of Mike and my love of video games.
We were sitting there and I said, why don't we just run one of these tournaments and just see how it works? It was a leap of faith.
A few years later, Microsoft and Bungie launched Halo 2, which was better in just about every way. The gameplay was better, the maps were better, even the sales were better, with 8 million sold to Halo's 5. And that momentum propelled Halo to the top of the North American esports scene. Europe had Counter-Strike and Dota, Korea had StarCraft, and NA had Halo.
And here we go. Strongset's moving in with the black ball.
Game over, baby!
And Final Boss takes the game.
Final Boss is your 2007 Boost Mobile MLG Pro Circuit champions, $100,000 richer, and even more importantly, those guys redeemed for last season's collapse.
The era of Halo 2 and 3 was dominated by legendary teams like Carbon, Final Boss, and Straight Rippin'. In 2006, MLG worked out a deal with the USA Network to broadcast MLG tournaments on TV, and episodes were later available on Xbox Live.
A respawn. Oh, one shot. T-Square taken out. Oh,
Final Boss.
For a better spawn. That's rough.
50 to 48, that game could have gone either way, but it went Final Boss's way. They lead 5-2.
MLG ran dozens of Halo tournaments between 2005 and 2007 and only stopped to bring in Halo 3. Halo 3 cracked 14 million copies sold, blowing its predecessors out of the water and throwing MLG's events into an even higher gear. Every Halo tournament MLG ran gave out over $50,000 in prize money, higher than anything in NA at the time, with annual $280,000 championships.
We got a new champion! Wow. I cannot believe it right now, Farouk. I called it early, and then they made it count. Straight ripping, so clutch. Their backs up against the wall, tying the game up, and then becoming our 2008 Halo 3 national champions.
MLG quickly became the biggest esports tournament organizer in North America, off the back of their success with Halo, adding Super Smash Bros., Tekken, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, and Gears of War, all to varying degrees of success.
What we did was go out and find all of the best kind of grassroots level people who are running these great tournaments and brought them in, and then we really developed Major League Gaming.
Halo 3 was a great competitive game, but only after MLG and fans made a few small tweaks to the game's competitive settings. Most notably, pro players disabled equipment, a new feature added to Halo 3 that really changed the way the game was played. But with all of that turned off, Halo 3 was a great competitive game, and it looked to be carrying Halo into a bright future. That is, until Reach.
Halo Reach, Falls 2010.
It was no secret that Bungie and Microsoft were going through a breakup. Bungie wanted independence to make new games, but their agreement with Microsoft meant that they had to make a few more Halo games before they could finally get it.
It's such an important cultural ideal here that this studio owns what it creates.
Independence was going to be the only thing that was going to be able to allow us to do what we wanted to do.
The deal was essentially, we make a couple more Halo games, we leave Halo with Microsoft, and we can split amicably. So, I mean, ultimately the price of our freedom was to leave our baby behind, to move from being Halo developers to Halo fans.
So Bungie took a chance to experiment. First came ODST, a mostly single-player game that didn't affect Halo's competitive scene at all. Then, in 2010, they put out Halo Reach, a game that carried forward Bungie's legacy of excellent single-player campaigns, but evolved the equipment system from Halo 3 into something much worse for the competitive scene.
You might be surprised to hear that when Halo Reach came out, it was met with backlash from the Halo community. I vividly remember the uproar on the Bungie forums. There were threads upon threads of players upset with the game, claiming that it didn't feel like Halo and that everything that made Halo great was gone. I vividly remember not enjoying the multiplayer for three main reasons. Number one, the maps. Number two, the weapons. And number three, armor abilities.
Reach had several problems. Equipment was replaced by armor ability. Abilities included active camouflage, which made you completely invisible, armor lock, which made you invincible before releasing a pulse of damage, and jetpack, which let you fly.
And then there's Bloom, there was Sprint, there was Armor Lock that was in the first MLG tournament, there was Jetpack, and all that stuff does not belong in Halo.
Thanks to new Bloom mechanic, full auto had no spray pattern. It was entirely random. Accuracy meant stopping, which was a far cry from the way top players had experienced Halo in the past.
There's so many things that are wrong with this game that can be fixed in a very small amount of time. And that needs to happen during this 4-month off season that we're going to have with MLG, okay?
Bungie, and later 343, Halo's new development team, eventually let players turn off Bloom and armor abilities and even let them have default starting loadouts. But by then, the game that competitive Reach players were experiencing was so far from what the average player was playing that they weren't even the same game. They still ran Reach, but it was second to StarCraft 2 and League of Legends, which were quickly picking up steam in North America thanks to strong development support. MLG only ran a handful of Reach events, but the community shrank alongside their game, and MLG had to remove Halo as the flagship game on their circuit.
Halo is just headed down, man.
But if Reach shrank Halo's community, then it was Halo 4 that truly killed it.
We've really focused on trying to craft these moments that live up to the legacy of the Halo experience.
We're working within the constraints of what makes Halo Halo, but trying to make every aspect of it bigger and better.
343's first foray into developing a Halo game of their own was something of a disaster on all fronts. The game sold 4.79 million copies, but the disappointing single player was coupled with an absolute mess of a multiplayer experience. There was no online ranked play, the launch maps were terrible, and not only were armor abilities still around, they were part of the unpopular loadout system from Reach.
There has been something done to this game that wasn't enjoyable. The matchmaking experience has to be better. The game has to be more fun. And obviously, I'm going to sit here and say, ranks, spectator mode, make the game not suck, go back to the formula. The online experience has to be better. You don't have to reinvent the wheel for your matchmaking experience when Halo 2 and Halo 3 both paved the way for this.
It just wasn't Halo anymore. MLG ran exactly one Halo 4 tournament the week the game came out, leaving a lot of people to question exactly how legitimate it was, given there were accusations that some players had access to the game early.
And the players are standing up. There's the congratulations. Give it up for your Warrior Squad, MLG's first ever Halo 4 champions. The Warriors will go down in history. This weekend will go down in history. We'll see you guys next season.
After the sheer number of people who left Halo during Reach, Halo 4 was a death blow for an already small community. Fans tried and tried, but no one could find a way to make competitive Halo 4 fun and balanced.
And then yet again, they also didn't give us like a real ranking system that we could see, like they saying that we couldn't do it. And they took forever to fix the bolt shot, and the maps were kind of iffy, and they still had sprint. And the 4-shot BR came like 6 months later.
In MLG's absence, other tournament organizers rose up to fill the gap. Arena Gaming League ran tournaments between 2012 and 2013, but collapsed amidst allegations that employees and tournament winners weren't being paid.
Right at AGL 10, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have fucking Halo 4, and then, oh wait, 3 weeks before, people have already bought team passes for Halo 4, fuck you, we're switching to Halo 3, no refund, fuck off, right? And then they cancel the event because eBash, which is where they were trying to hold it in Indianapolis, wasn't even created yet. It was still being built, and Brad just decided to market it and pocket that money. It is important to note, all the way up to AGL 10, Brad played favorites with who he paid out. Besides a select few, no one got paid, dating all the way back to AGL 6.
All that were left were the hardest of the hardcore, playing in small grassroots tournaments. Attempts were made to move back to older games, the way that Super Smash Bros. Melee has survived more than a decade after its launch, but the community was already too small to sustain further fragmentation. Halo was well and truly dead. But there is a happy ending to this story. In 2014, 343 put out the Master Chief Collection, along with a port of Halo 2's multiplayer mode, which brought a lot of lapsed pros and fans back into the scene.
It's extremely smooth. It felt very clean. The 60 frames per second, all that. Sprint was taken out of the game, which means a lot more setup-based game types are being played.
If he can get this kill, we'll see. They're clearing out their space. They got the time. T-scored the last player in the hill. No. Let's go ahead and see what Roy's up to. Roy has an angle. 205 to 205. BTH gets the last few seconds, and BTH has won the tournament. Oh my goodness, congratulations. Believe the hype. They are the Halo, the Master Chief Collection, launched Invitational Champions. What a series that was.
The game wasn't perfect and took a long time to get fixed, but it was a step in the right direction, one that 343 followed up with Halo 5 just a year later. Halo 5 replaced armor abilities with Spartan abilities, always on traits that every player had constant access to, with the option to turn individual powers on or off for competitive play. It got back to default starts, back to solid map design, and away from killstreak gimmicks cribbed from COD. It was a return to form.
The shooting is definitely really like easy, but the movement makes it much harder to shoot than like any other like Halo, I feel like. And then plus like MLG coming back, they run events so well. It's a blessing to have MLG. It's crazy. MLG events are one of a kind.
Halo 5 brought us the first ever Halo title with a live spectate option. This means you can jump into any player's live film and watch on a 1 minute delay, whether it be a pro player, whether it be one of your buddies. With the 1 minute delay, it had its limitations. This leads me into my second point of what Halo 5 has done well, and that is the Observer mode in Halo 5. Now, Observer mode allows us to join any lobby and watch without that 1 minute delay. Not only that, it has enhanced viewer information on the user interface to see each player's shields, whether they have a power up, what weapons they have, nades they have selected. With the right guidance and hopefully with some more tweaking in Halo Infinite, the next title, we could see a really classy spectate/observer mode.
Halo 5 also had esports support from Microsoft on day one, following up the 2 seasons of the Halo Championship series they played on the Master Chief Collection. After that, the league moved to Halo 5, and Microsoft boosted the prize pool to $1 million. The Halo community brought that up to $2.5 million in 2016, and the $1 million prize pool stuck around for the next 2 years.
L-Town is actually running this flag. They're now trying to get this flag back. Look at Allegiance. They are moving together, and they might be able to still get this going for it. And again, that's going to do it, folks! Counter Logic Gaming, they are the Halo World Champions of 2016. What a run they've had all season long. An incredible squad, and it is well deserved. They have fought and fought and fought for this opportunity.
Halo still doesn't pick up massive viewership, but it's in a much better place than it was even 2 years ago. Pro teams are coming in to give pro players salaries, prize pools are sustainable, and viewership does trend upwards during major events.
Snakebite picks up that flag, the kills are being picked up as well. The arena here in London is going wild. Frosty with the final kill. Tonks have done it, they're back on top. Tonks Gaming are your champions of London once again.
It's been a long road to this point. They've lost a lot of tournaments to Splice. But here they are, 4-0ing them in a second best of 7.
Put it all together, and we can learn at least one important thing from Halo and its fall from grace. If you make a good game, people are going to play it. And if you make a bad game, well, you better hope the community can hold on long enough until you make a better one.
That's it! HP Darkman is the 2002 Halo National Champion.
$20,000 by finishing first place. Congratulations, Team 3D.
Carbon wins the championship.
Final boss is your 2007 Boost Mobile MLG Pro Circuit champions.
2008 Halo 3 4v4 champions, straight ripping.
2009 Major League Gaming National Champions, believe the hype.
Final boss here, 2010 MLG National Champions.
2011 National Champions Instinct. Ace of the upper hit. And win. And they're the SCS Season 1 champion.
Halo Geniuses are your Halo Championship Series Season 2 Grand Champions.
It's gonna do it, folks. Counter Logic Gaming. They are the Halo World Champions of 2016.
Colten Gaming are your 2017 Halo World Champions.
Stella's gonna put it in, and you have a new Halo World Champion.
Halo. It's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.